So I would like to address the recent leaks pertaining to the God of War game. I know I should have made a video on this a while back, but life happens, so bear with me. So for a while now, it's been believed that there is a new God of War game in development, and that isn't really a surprise since for a long time now Santa Monica has been known solely as God of War developers. I am up for developers making other games, but if something works, then why change it at all? God of War had a surprising resurgence in the late 2010s with a new entry in 2018, which was a spiritual successor stroke reboot for the franchise. Then again, the Greek saga did get its conclusion with very little to add to the story, so a reboot seemed sensible enough. The good part is the reboot did do well, and after a satisfying closure to the Norse saga, which was God of War Ragnarok, the lingering question on everyone's mind is what's next? Where does the franchise go from here? And the answer came, at least, confirming what fans have long suspected: Egypt. Another setting rich with history and filled with some of the most interesting lore as well as deities. If you have noticed, God of War is sort of treading the same waters as Assassin's Creed, although there are nuances to that argument. The Assassin's Creed franchise is mostly known for visiting important historical events, but still it became a window to visit certain time periods. Now obviously there are distinctly different games, but if the leaks are anything to go by, we could see a vastly different Kratos accompanied by a slew of new characters. Another thing to remember is that this game might be pretty expensive. If you've been following Sony's track record, I bet it's going to range between $250 to $400 million in budgets, which means this game really needs to sell a lot of copies to break even. Now, all the logistics, theories, and speculation aside, there is some things God of War has to do in order to stand out. If you were to compare God of War 2018 with the previous titles, they operate within the veins of a hack and slash, except the reboot did also implement a loot-based system, which enhanced combat greatly. Of course, this is the now infamous over-the-shoulder camera, which gave it a cinematic look and feel, with room to gloss over highly detailed environments. If we are to guess, the next entry will follow the same pattern, and that's not a bad thing, but still not enough. The God of War reboot worked for a number of reasons, which are: it was 5 years since the last God of War game, which was God of War Ascension. Mind you, it wasn't even a sequel or a follow-up to the last game, but rather a prequel. It came out during the new console generation where gaming technology had greatly improved. For a better reference, look at God of War 3 Remastered on the PS4. But most of all, it had a tonal shift and some rebranded gameplay formula. That's why it worked. It was able to feel new and fresh while still lingering on nostalgia and familiarity. The same can be said about Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed games of recent, which had new life pumped into it after AC Origins, which ironically was set in Egypt. The new open world RPG formula worked well, and the upper management, seeing its success, doubled down and milked it to oblivion. And well, that's not helping them currently. God of War Ragnarok has sold over 15 million on consoles alone, and I am not going to factor in PC sales. So there is no denying that the franchise is doing well, but as we have seen, there were reasons for that. My argument is simple: the next God of War game needs to have some new gameplay mechanics. One that comes to mind is Bethesda's RPGs, which shift from a first-person to a third-person perspective. Such a mechanic can be welcome to God of War. God of War has always been known as a combat-driven game. Obviously, the recent two games have tried to level the story and combat to an equal ratio. Let's be honest, combat has always been a major highlight for the series. That's what God of War needs: a new gameplay formula in a brand new setting, because going back to the 2018 reboot, there was a lot of ambition and at the same time a lot of risk taking. But in the end, it all paid off. I doubt they will make any changes. After all, if it worked once, it's obviously going to work again. But these are just my thoughts. And if you've been able to watch for this long, thank you. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.